Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Master Key. This is a series that is brought to you every Monday to give you a little bit of something to help you navigate your career and start your week off right. My name is Latrice Torres, and I am the host of this session. And I am honored to be here every Monday with you on your career journey. It's a journey that I think we all sometimes forget that we're on. We're busy doing it that we forget that we have to drive it. We have to own it. And so this series is really designed to empower you to do that, to make sure that you have the keys you need to bust through some of the gatekeeping that is happening in these corporate circles. That's what I'm here for. I'm your coach, I'm your guide, I'm your career strategist that helps you with navigating what is next or how to just fully leverage where you're at right now. All right, so let's jump into it. Um, my name is Latrice Torres. I am the CEO of Leader Keys. This is a leadership consulting company where we focus specifically on Black women. We also offer lots of different services for teams, leaders, and organizations such as L&D strategy, and we really specialize in HR upskilling. Leader Keys was established in 2020. We have over 25 years of HR leadership and career coaching and strategy up under our belts, right? I'm also the founder of the Career Accelerator for Black women because, like I said, the core of our company hyper focuses on leadership for Black women. If you enjoyed this session, please be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, where all of our free resources in terms of our workshops are housed, Facebook, as well as Instagram. You can find us on all of those at Leader Keys Unlocked. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's session. This is one of my favorite ones because people ask me this question all the time. Are cover letters even still a thing? I get that question more than anything else. The short answer is yes. Now, here's the thing. It may look differently from before. It may not be that same cover letter that you are going packaging up and you're handing to somebody. It may not even be the same cover letter that you may traditionally think of when you're uploading. But here's the thing. All of these applicant tracking systems, when they say go to our website and apply, they ask you for a cover letter. And there's some on LinkedIn that even ask you for a cover letter as well. So are cover letters a thing? Yes. I would like for you to actually shift your focus a little bit and think of a cover letter as a DM, right? To put it into today's terms. That's the beauty of a cover letter. It no longer has to be this thing that you're uploading. It will be in addition to, but you also can just connect to professionals as well. Use some of the resources that are out there. If you can connect to somebody directly, go ahead and do that. Having a really kick-ass cover letter is going to help you with that connection. You don't have to always start from scratch. Repurpose it. So when we talk about cover letters today, I want you to think of it in a couple of different ways, like being in a cover letter, being a direct message, being an email. You can take the same basic cover letter, format that up, use it for all three. All right. So again, short answer is yes. The other reason, you want to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So again, if you have kind of like this template, you can put it in any format that you want, but you've got the core, right? You got the foundation. So you want to do that for your cover letter as well. I told you to change your thinking from cover letter to a direct message. That's a different way of thinking, but times have changed. And so that means cover letters have to evolve as well. They also have to have keywords. They got to be ready for this AI review where it's looking for the things that are specific to the role. So you're going to want to be able to do that as well. So we're going to talk about some tips to do that. And lastly, cover letters are absolutely a thing because you own this part. I'm going to have that in probably every single session that I put in here. Like your career is the thing you drive. Again, we get so bogged down in our day-to-day work and just making sure that we're getting our jobs done and that we're showing up and that we're doing a good job, that we forget that, again, this is the thing that we actually own, that we can control, and that you are inputting what is inside of it. That cover letter is one of those things. It's your introduction, right? It is the thing that is going to tell a person who you are. So we're going to go over 7 myths. We're going to go over 7 myths about cover letters. So the first one is answering the question, are they still a thing? Cover letters are obsolete. That's an absolute myth. So some people believe that cover letters are just no longer necessary in this digital age where, hiring managers are not even reading them. I have heard everything, but many employers really still expect a cover letter. That's why it's still in the system. It's why it's still an option, and it tells you it's not even an option. There are some where you can't even apply without uploading a cover letter. So you want to make sure that you have one that is really well written, that is going to set you apart from the other candidates. And if you focus on more of this storytelling approach when it comes down to your cover letters, then you're going to automatically stand out. So let me just talk to you all for a second. What do I mean by storytelling? A lot of the times we start our cover letters and everything is so formal, right? Dear hiring manager, or dear somebody's name, if you happen to have it. And that is okay. However, you really want to jump into your story as quickly as possible. And one of the strategies that I like to work with my clients on doing is telling an impactful story about your career and about who you are based on what you have accomplished, what impact you have made, what results you have actually come up with because of your work. And that's your story, right? So you want to pick something compelling. What are you known for? What is your overall impact? How will other people actually describe you? So to bust that first myth, you want to be as compelling as you possibly can be. And so when you tell your story from a powerful stance, here is what I am known for. Other people have described me as. If you ask my previous employer, and I invite you to do so, what is the thing I brought to the table? They would say XYZ. And here's an example of how that happened, right? You want to be able to storytell. And remember, your colleagues, your peers, your former managers, people who work with, all of those people are part of your story. Go to them. Ask them how they would tell your story. Who do they see? How do they see you as a professional? Who are you? Right? So get your story down. Get that. It's your thing. It's your niche. It's what makes you special. And your cover letter is where you can put that. You can't get it in your resume, and it's not going to be on your LinkedIn profile. This is where it's going to be. So leverage that. Myth number 2. One size fits all. I don't even know where this came from, where everyone's like, okay, you can use the same cover letter for every job application. In reality, you really want to tailor your cover letter to each specific job and the company itself, because that's the way you're going to actually demonstrate your genuine interest in that organization, and further really explain how you're going to fit that position. Again, this is like such an excellent time for that employer to get to know you. You really want to write the letter so well that by the time you get to that interview, that question where they're saying, tell me a little bit about yourself, they're actually going to tell you a little bit about yourself. And then you get to fill in the gaps. So now you're controlling the interview as well. So when I work with my clients, we work on telling a story in their resume, telling us the rest of that story and really diving into something very detailed and fascinating about who they are professionally in that cover letter, so that that interview is like they're meeting up with someone that they're really just getting to know better, that they're getting to know deeper. And you are now 15 minutes further into the interview than you were before, because you don't have to waste time telling that story. See where I'm going with this? You're building the blocks. before you even get to that interview point, because that interview is so critical to make sure you are sealing the deal, right? You're not negotiating and making the deal in the interview, you're sealing the deal. Argue with your mama if you think that's wrong. But we, as a coach and coachee, we work through what does that actually look like, and what does it look like for you specifically, right? The other thing I want to say about this is that you really want to take some time to really research the organization. Um, I talk a lot about choosing your employer and not always letting the employer choose you. One way to do that is to get really, really aligned with their mission, their vision, their strategies, their culture, the things that they put on there, and not just from what is on their website. You also want to make sure that you're doing that by having some, informational interviews with people who actually work at the organization. I mean, come on, we have access to everybody now. You might as well reach out. You might as well find out those things. You might as well make some connections, because when you make those connections, then you really learn about that company, and you can really tailor your cover letter to really fit what that organization is looking like. I was about to move on, but actually I want to say one more thing before I go. You know, you do want this to be authentic. Like, if you are not genuinely tapping into the organization, and you're not genuinely aligned with their values because they align to your values, you're not going to write a good cover letter. That's it. I don't know how else to put that, but you're not. And I just don't want you to make that mistake. So you want to apply to the companies that really appeal to you, because when you do that, then you're going to give, again, some discretionary effort because you're aligned. You're aligned. You want to be there. It's something you want to do. You want to pursue that. And so you're going to write your story in a way that's compelling enough that they're going to be able to see your story and their story and go, yeah, there's good synergy here. There's good synergy. There's good energy. There's good alignment. This is a good fit. Again, sealing the deal. That's what we want to do. That's what we're working on. All right. Myth number two, and before I move to myth number two, what are some common myths that you have? Because they're probably going to be inside of here, but I only have 7, so there's probably going to be some that's not in here. So make sure you're asking your questions, because this is the time to get them answered. I answer questions. I spend a lot of time after these sessions doing nothing but answering questions and making sure that I am giving you all the information that you need. I'm an open book. You don't even have to sign up with me as a client to get at least some of the basic information. But when you are a client of mine, we really dive into the things that you need to know, right? So get some of those questions to just figure out, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? What can I do immediately right now, just based off of this class, right? So myth number 3, get those questions in there. The myth number 3 is the longer the cover letter, the better. I don't even know where this came from. Every time I see a 2-page cover letter, I don't know, my stomach hurts. Something inside me hurts a little bit. Okay, here's the reality. The amount of people who apply for any given job now is so astronomical. It's insane, right? Even jobs where it's very, very niche and you have to have very specific knowledge, skills, experience, education. There, where it used to be, they would have 30, 40, maybe 100 if they're lucky applicants. Now they're seeing now 1,000 applicants for that same thing, particularly if it's remote, right? Because that means somebody can be anywhere and do that job. Anywhere means that anybody can also apply, right? So that means hiring managers, recruiters, those who are looking at these cover letters only have so much time. Like the human brain can only process so much information in a span of time. So having a cover letter that is too crazy in the storytelling, and now we're in 2, 3, 4 pages of cover letter, it's going to turn anybody off. So you really want to be concise about your cover letter as well. So you got to learn how to not just tell your story. You're going to have to tell it in elevator pitch fashion. That takes practice. That's going to take some practice. I know and I understand. But you can get there. There is a way to be very compelling about your story, right? Quite often, when I tell my story, I'm able to tell my story in less than 20 seconds. And I know that it's going to only take maybe a paragraph if I put it onto a cover letter, because I have both anecdotal as well as I have actual data that tells me my story, right? And allows me to tell my story very easily. I know what my impact has been. I know what people have told me. I know that at the end of the day, I help people be better professionals, period. I only need that one liner to really open up my story. But that's what you have to get to. You have to be able to at least know how to headline yourself and then pitch yourself. That elevator pitch, 20 seconds. That's all the time that you have. What are you going to do with it? Your cover letter is exactly the same way. People only have so much time to look at them. Be concise, be impactful. All right. Myth number 4. Cover letter should summarize your resume. No, 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 and no, no again. You want to use the cover letter to explain how your skills and experiences make you a strong fit for the company. And you also want to use it as an opportunity to show that you've researched the company to align to their values and demonstrate your previous experience with advancing some similar priorities. I went ahead and I read that off the slide because I think it's really important to actually like take this and digest this. You do not need to summarize your resume. This should be a compliment to your resume. It should literally do something different from your resume. Your resume is going to bullet point and it's going to talk about all of these different highlights. To be honest, you really only have to take a summary of those things, and you're really only going to use maybe one or two of those to tell your story. Remember, we're being concise, but we're demonstrating your skills and your experience in terms of how it aligns to what they need, right? So you need to find out, what do they need? If you cannot answer that question and you're only basing it off of the job description, you're already working from behind. So again, that research on a company is hypercritical, because you should be able to go on to a website and kind of deduce what are they looking for based on the type of work that they do. Let me give you an example. I once applied for a role, and the role was a global organization. The role was going to be internationally facing with an emphasis on South America and Canada. Now, because that was the way that the job description was written, I wanted to make sure that I went on the website and I understood what is their businesses looking like in those two areas. What I found out is that both of those areas were new markets for them. So if they're new markets, that means they're most likely building a team. They're most likely looking to establish standard operating procedures or SOPs. They're looking to actually, operationalize the way that they're at, for in terms of what I do, the way that their learning strategy is actually developed and rolled out, because now you're going to have different things that impact the way people are actually learning, receiving, or even wanting to have their development and their career managed. That empowerment, because of the background that I have, I know that those needs are going to look very different, and they're going to need different things. They're going to need me to have been able to have some experience with translating content, operationalizing things. Like, I haven't had an interview. I don't know anything about anything except for what's going on, and that expansion only happened about 3 to 6 months before that. But that tells me so much. So you're going to want to go in, do the research, make some deductions in terms of what you see, what story are they telling you, what are you reading in between the lines, and how is your role actually going to fit in that. If you can't figure that out, then that's the type of thing that you're putting into your cover letter, is that you're looking forward to uncovering and discovering what types of things that are changing in terms of why they're bringing this role in, or why they're needing somebody to come over and take over this role, right? Those are the types of things, and you can just start pulling and inferring, and eventually you're going to get to that interview, right? When you do, you can start to bridge the gap. Again, more robust conversation. Your interview, you already baked in questions that you're going to want to ask, things like that. take control. This cover letter is a critical part of that. All right. Myth number 5. Okay, I even said this earlier, but I didn't go into this as much as I'm going to go into it right now. Addressing it to whom it may concern is acceptable. It absolutely is not. We have access to way too much information. You best find somebody, right? Hiring manager, the recruiter, somebody listed on the job description. Go find out titles, right? I've had jobs where it tells me this role, this director level role is going to report directly into the vice president of talent management and development, right? It tells me. So what do you think I'm going to do? Go on that website, go find out who actually has that title, or something that's comparable to that title, or something that's above that title. Maybe it's the chief human resources officer, right? For me, again, using myself as an example, but use yourself in terms of knowing the role, and then who does it report to? The job description will tell you basic things like that. But other times it'll flat out have a job poster who's listed on there, right? Use their name. Let's not use this to whom it may concern. That might have been acceptable in the past, of saying that, or dear hiring manager, but it really comes across as impersonal. So really try to address it to a specific individual, and you're going to see that you're going to get a lot further. I'm going to add to this. When you find that person out, send them a direct message. Remember, I told you, cover letter doesn't necessarily have to be the letter you're uploading. It can be, there could be almost this pre-cover letter that is actually reaching out to a person directly. So again, take advantage of the things that you have, the insights that you have with your LinkedIn, with, let's say, Instagram, or wherever else that you are connecting with people. Use those connections. All right. Myth number 6, using an overly formal language, that you have to do that and you have to use all of the corporate jargon. Okay, you can absolutely do that. You definitely want to touch on key words. However, again, you're telling your story. You do not have to be so formal to be taken seriously. In fact, it's generally better to use a professional yet conversational tone that's going to reflect your personality and your communication style, because then that gives them a little bit of insight to you. Again, we want to skip some of the formalities and talk to people like people, right? If you can control that narrative, you can open that up right here in this cover letter by saying, this is who I am, right? This is what I do. I quite often have put in my cover letter itself, I'm like organized chaos, right? But it's in a way that is super productive. But I've told them so much about me. Even if they have reservation, they're like, oh my God, she's at chaos, she's chaotic and everything. Ask me about it. Ask me what that looks like, and I'll be glad to explain exactly what I mean by that. I have a good explanation, by the way. If you want to know what that explanation is, you'll have to hit me up directly so we can have a chat about it. But let me tell you, you can turn anything into a strength, and you want to learn how to be able to do that really effectively. If you get too formal in your language, then it's hard to pull and peel back from that, because then that's what the expectation is. Again, nothing wrong with it, particularly if you're in a really, technical field or anything like that. Then absolutely, you want to stay in that universe, in that basic sphere. However, you do still want to connect on a human level. People always want to connect on a human level. Do not do that a disservice by acting as if that's not a thing. It is a thing. All right, and finally, myth number 7. Cover letters should only focus on skills and experiences. I've already busted that myth with the last 6. It doesn't hurt to demonstrate your enthusiasm for the role in a company as well, as your skills and your experiences. So don't hesitate to express your passion for the industry or explain why you're particularly interested in that organization, because that could be the deal breaker. So again, story time. I once worked for an organization where their primary focus was in diabetes. I always use this a lot. So if anybody is on here and they've talked to me before, they're going to hear it again. But I worked for a company. Their primary focus was diabetes. Half of my family, if not more, probably more than half of my family, are diabetics. So for me, it was really important that I actually got into this organization. And in fact, when I got the job offer from that organization, I actually have four other offers on the table. I picked that organization because of that focus on diabetes. Now, during the interview process, I talked very openly and candidly about that connection, of how important that connection was for me, how much I wanted to make sure that I was not just an employee there, but that I become an ambassador, because I'm going to need to be an ambassador for my family. Even if by default, even if I didn't want that, working for the company, my family was going to expect that, right? You're working for a diabetes trees, but like, what can you tell us? What do you know? What's the thing, right? So no matter what, whether I'm passionate about it or not, I'm passionate about my family. And I was by default passionate about the organization because this was something that I knew was going to benefit, and be of high value to the people who I love. So I told that story very similarly right in the interview. And I know that was the moment where they were like, this is the fit, this is the right place, right? And I knew it as well. So again, you want to match up and understand the companies you're applying for. Look, let's be real. Again, when I say you should be picking the organizations that you're looking that you work for, we tend to not operate that way. And I know somebody is watching this who has been unemployed now for 3, 4, 6, 9, 12 months, right? And you're thinking, I don't have time to be selective. I'm going to take whatever comes away. Whoever I get an interview with, I'm going to get the interview with. But let me tell you, there is something about energy in the universe of you really picking an organization and people you really want to work with. When you put that energy out, it will come back. Throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks is not a job search strategy, period. And we can have a whole session on that. In fact, there's going to be a whole session on that on one of these Mondays that talks about really being purposeful about how you are driving your career in the companies that you let on that journey. So I say all of that because this cover letter is your opportunity. This is where you are going to express the amount of homework you have done on that organization. If you cannot build an alignment to your passions, to your talents, to your general interest, to your values, to something, like if you can't map that out and articulate that in a cover letter, it is more than most likely not the right opportunity for you if you're just doing it because it's just another place to apply. All right. So with that said, I threw in a little bonus myth. Cover letters should be traditional letters. That's actually false. If you ever reach out to a hiring manager or recruiter directly to apply, you know that you actually start a dialogue. So now is the time to actually do that. It does not have to be a cover letter. It doesn't have to be, again, a letter. It can be a DM. I put that as a bonus, even though I've been talking about it this whole entire session, because I think it's just the most important piece to remember is shift your thoughts about it being this structured letter. If you do that, you will get further. You will make connections, and connections is actually how you get jobs. All right. If you enjoyed this session, make sure that you tune in every Monday. We have these sessions. This is the master key to get you through your week and take control of your career. We have master classes that are paid master classes every Thursday for a nominal fee. You can go to leaderkeysunlocked.com/masterclass. And then you can also engage with a coach with Leader Keys. You can do that by booking a discovery call, and that link is literally everywhere on the website. With that said, you can also break out your phone right now if you're watching on your laptop, and you can scan that QR code. It will give you all of our connections. Again, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. We're pretty much everywhere. You can also go to calendly.com/leaderkeys, and you will find all of the different ways that you can reach out and schedule time directly with me. So I would like to thank you all for your time and your energy today. I appreciate it. I appreciate the questions that are in the comments. I am definitely going to get around to answering all of them, some follow up. Schedule some time with me. Let's do a discovery call. Let's see how I can assist and support and be a partner in your career journey. Until next Monday, thank you. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Take charge, use that master key, and start unlocking some doors. Alrighty, bye.